This video is comprised of a set of interviews with Ashley Bryan in his studio. In these interviews, Ashley explains how he was inspired to create his books of spirituals and how he actually created these books and others using the simple tools in his studio. I hope you enjoy this video. In the following segment, Ashley explains his love of music and how that love of music was developed.
Ashley, your mother is described as singing all day. What was she singing?
My mother sang all day long from many of the hymns, from other songs that she'd picked up on, popular songs, but mainly hymns. She'd grown up in the Anglican Church in Antigua in the West Indies, and those hymns were so much in her and her love of singing that she would sing them. The songs that came from black American slaves were woven into it because they travel the world and people sing them wherever. And so it was just a feeling of voice, and if she weren't singing words, she was just chanting melodies. Always singing. My friend would say, "Your mother sings" when they come. I said, "Doesn't everybody's mother sing all day long?" They were so surprised.
Yeah. In the next segment, Ashley explains how he learned to read music and how he applied that learning to children's books.
Ashley, when did you learn how to read music?
Well, I grew up during the Depression years, and at that time the government had hired artists and musicians to teach in all neighborhoods throughout the United States. It employed artists and musicians. Now, in my family of 6, my parents could feed, clothes, and shelter us, but they couldn't afford extras. So they sent us out to all the free music, the free art, saying, "Learn to entertain yourself." So in those basic classes in music, I learned to read music and to play, at that time with the piano, that we worked out the treble clef, the bass clef, the rhythms and the dotted notes and the half notes and the full notes and the quarter notes. So we learned everything about basic playing, and we could build from that groundwork to however far we wanted to go with music.
So with these books of spirituals that contain the music, how do you use them with children?
Well, with children first, I show them that the notes are very clear because children from 4th grade on have been introduced to learning to read the treble clef with the printed dotted notes, okay, with the C recorder. And so with the recorder then, they're taught first to blow the first notes. They learn one note, they learn another note. They're taught what that note is. Then the rhythms they can play it with, half notes, quarter notes, eighth note. So they learn how the little note will tell them the time beat for each note. And then after they learn one note, they go down with the next note. When they reach the third note, well, that's the beginning with that left hand, those 3. And they can then play. They can play a song right off, okay? Then they keep going, they work their way down to the bottom. The bottom note, you must make sure all the fingers are covering those holes. Because anyway, if you want to get a note going, until you cover all the holes, you get a squeaky sound. And when you reach the bottom, that's the one. All holes completely covered. And then if you want to play high, part of the back neck going. So you can go low, you can go high, and there's a whole world of music that opens for the playing of the C recorder.
In the following segment, Ashley explains how the images and emotions of the spirituals influenced his choices of which spirituals to publish.
Ashley, the specific spirituals you chose for the first 2 books of spirituals, were they chosen because of the images they suggested to you?
Generally, an artist in working from any text will choose those moments in the text when images come to the mind. But in the spirituals, one can also work from the emotion. If they say in a song, "Sometimes I feel like a motherless child," well, just that emotion gives you a feeling of image. Or by and by, I'm going to lay down this heavy load. You also see as well as feel the emotion of it. So you combine image with emotion in the spirituals quite often.
In the next segment, Ashley describes how the meaning and spirit of the spirituals sharpened his appreciation and understanding of their influence and importance.
Ashley, where and how did you gain your deeper understandings of the spirituals?
I'd always been singing the spirituals as we do from kindergarten on, but as I was beginning to illustrate them, you think more deeply about the meanings of them. You get the spirit of them from one song to another. I mean, if you're singing, "Oh Martha, oh Mary," "Rocking Jerusalem," "Ring them bells," you get a spirit of that. So you get a feeling of the joyousness that could come to a life that was enslaved, and they could recreate stories they had heard from the Bible and do some joyous singing images for them. And then there were the other songs which would tells you right out what it is. A child may sing them without understanding, but some, like "This is the light of mine, I'm going to let it shine." All right. Now, a little bit, I'm thinking of candles and lights and things like that. The light is your character. So as you grow older, you begin to understand that the songs may seem very swift and easy to catch the words, but the meanings keep developing.
In the following segment, Ashley explains the reasons he published his first two books of spirituals and what those books mean to him.
The first books of spiritual I did, "Walk Together Children," was the first one. At that time, there were no books of the songs of the Black American slaves for the young people to grow with. And even then, in the 60s, early 70s, the ones that had been done for adults were long out of print, could not have been found. And yet, people throughout our country sing the spirituals. They are not taught historically, so generally they do not know that the songs they love and sing come from Black American slaves. So I decided, when I was just entering the field through my wonderful editor, Gene Carl, that one of my projects would be to get a book of the spirituals for young people. Now, I wanted to do them with the spirit of the early religious block printed books, because it is said that in Western art, the only time that in the early times, all art was dedicated to the greater glory of God. The cathedrals, the ritual dramas, the chant, the illuminated manuscripts. The only time that recurs was from this body of song, the thousands of songs from Black American slaves. So I decided I would do it with the spirit of early early printed, block printed books. So I wanted to cut the book blocks for each of the spirituals, and I needed to cut the music. So I devised a way of doing that. Now, it meant so much to me to let the children know the songs they sing, "He's got the whole world in his hand, this little light of mine," and also where they come from. Because you do not know subconsciously how what you're growing with will also come to your support later. And you will say, if black slaves, under the duress and the hardship they face, could create such a body of beautiful work, then I will persist in what I would love to do.
Now,